God's particle, the collision of people sharing similar experiences, seeing the world through the lens of an artist, reminiscing about the questions that drives us to create, the beats, the rhythms, and the melodies of life, all syncopated. Press play.
All right. So, when you are writing, where does it come from for you? Do you feel like you can hear the words, or is it like an intuition? Is it like, I don't know, like something that things that come to you in dreams, or like, do you have like one of those writer's rules where it doesn't matter, you just start writing no matter what, you just write, 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 write,
Yeah, for me, there are kind of like two different ways where an idea for a song or a poem will come from. And one is just kind of the natural inspiration of life, where let's say, we're having a conversation and you say something that just makes me pause or think, whether it's
right?
because it's beautiful or because it created a question in my mind. And so then it's like, okay, after this conversation, I might, hang up and then go start writing a poem or writing a song that's just kind
Mm,
of expanding this thought that happened in a conversation, or it's something I saw when I'm out. Maybe it's not always talking to a person, where it's like I just see something, I see a poster, or I see a beautiful tree that reminds me of some experience I had, right? So
mhm,
there's that. And then there's the very intentional, disciplined writing. And there, for me, I don't I don't depend on waiting for inspiration, because that is come and
mhm,
go. There are
yeah,
times where I will go months without really like feeling a spark of an idea.
yeah,
But even in those times where I don't get that natural inspiration, I approach creativity as a holistic health discipline. And so I sit down, even if I don't feel inspired, I sit down and I force myself to reflect on my life. Why
mm,
am I not feeling inspired? What am I thinking about these past 2 months where I haven't felt inspired, but I still have emotions and thoughts and experiences, right? So I'm like, okay. In the same way, I liken it to exercise. There might be times in your life where you're feeling very motivated to go to the gym. And then there's some days where you don't feel like going, but you discipline yourself to go anyway because you know it's good for you, right? Okay, I don't feel like it, but this is something I do to stay healthy. That's how I write. And I do that all the time. And then inspiration can also come on top of that, but I pretty regularly sit down and say, I'm going to write something today. I
mhm,
don't even have an idea. Sometimes I will just tell myself on Wednesday, I'm going to write a song. And
okay,
it doesn't matter. I will get on Instagram, or excuse me, I will get on YouTube or beatstars.com, and I'll just look for an instrumental that I like, just to like get some lyrics out. And
mm,
sometimes the song will be about whatever the producer titled the instrumental. Sometimes I
yeah,
will just text a friend. Sometimes I have this friend that I write with, and
uh-huh.
sometimes I'll just text her and be like, "Give me a word, give me a phrase."
Yes,
And it'll literally, it's just an
ad-libbing.
exercise. It's just
Yeah,
like, so
that's so
someone can say,
cool.
yeah, because the thing is, like, someone could say diving board, for example, and for you, that might bring up a memory of watching the Olympics with your family, and there was this black diver that y'all was all cheering for. For another person, it might bring up a memory of a backyard pool party in middle school where their friend drowned after jumping off the diving board.
Mhm,
For another person, they
yeah,
might have,
yeah,
a really positive memory, like, oh yeah, we used to always go to my grandparents' house and they had a swimming pool and the summers were my favorite, right? So it's like, it's
yeah,
not about a diving board. It's a
yeah,
starting point. And so for me, I can write about anything. I can choose to write about anything because I just let it flow and I'm not trying to control what comes out. I'm just like, as a thought experiment, as a creative experiment,
yeah,
what happens if I write about this?
yeah. That's interesting. That's really when you said be instrumental, it made me think I actually do something really similar when I'm trying to think about choreography. I do the
Mm,
exact thing. Pretty
yeah.
like, pretty much, and I started going to beat instrumentals because it's like loops and the words,
Hmm.
I've learned that, um, in teaching dance, sometimes it's good to start with, like, the raw version of the song or the music to kinda help, guide people, and it's actually more fun because you can, like, kind of focus on, like, the music itself, like the beat,
Hmm.
syncopation, and all that stuff. But, yeah, that's interesting, like, about the experience for each person.
Yeah.
I think it's the same in dance. Like, each
Mm,
person has a different experience with the same it could be the same choreography, but each dancer in the room is gonna have a completely different connection with it, and I think sometimes people get confused. I don't know if you have a similar experience with writing or like, making music, but I think I could be wrong, but sometimes I think there's like this confusion that the best dancer is the one that's like executing the movement like in this big way and they can, hit all the marks at the exact moment and they're beautiful and their hair is like flipping, and they've got
mhm.
all the face and everything, but, I don't know, for me, I think, like, it's about the experience, like, how some people just are able to kinda bring whatever is in their mind or their heart into the dance, and, like, I think that's what people see sometimes when they think, "Oh, wow, they're such a great dancer." I think it seems like they get confused with technique versus like heart or emotion or connectedness or something. Um, do you have
I
similar
know
experiences?
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think, to me, it's like the difference when it comes to music, right? You have
Mhm.
like classically trained um musicians and
Mhm.
vocalists, and then you
Mhm.
have people who just grew up playing in church or grew up playing the blues, and they
Yeah,
don't actually know how to read music or write out the chords,
right.
right? But for them, they're just connecting to the heart of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's not wrong to be classically trained, but I think that I have seen performers, musicians and poets alike, get on stage and perform perfectly, hit every note that they sang, remember every word, and I felt nothing,
Right? I
nothing. Where I'm like,
dance.
I
With dance, I'm just like, "Girl, but I'm so bored. I don't even remember
yes,
anything that you just did.
yes.
Like,
Where
what
you're
was
like,
all that
I am
for?"
technically impressed by your skills,
Right.
right? But
Mhm.
I am not emotionally moved as a work of art. Like,
Yeah,
okay, you checked all the boxes, you know how to do this, but is your heart in it? Make me
yeah.
believe you. Make me
Yeah.
believe you. And that's the thing. What I think, the kind of paradox of creative expression is a lot of people, they have these perfectionist standards. But perfection isn't human. No human being is a robot. And
Well,
so
they're
there
trying to do
actually
that.
is something that people might be impressed, but they don't it is far less common to emotionally connect to someone who's just very technically skilled versus someone who, not to say you're not allowed to have technically skilled, but you also need to be able to tap into the emotion of imperfection, because so often what we're actually responding to into why a work of art moves us is the imperfections in it, right? When you hear
Mhm.
that voice tremble
Mhm.
and it cracks, right? If I'm singing the blues and
Mhm.
I sing it smooth and pretty.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about the trauma of lynching or poverty or heartbreak. My baby left me, she cheated on me, and it's just perfect. I'm like, ooh, my
Mhm.
baby left me versus, oh, my baby left me and I
Mhm.
wanted to die. And you like, you hear the cracks and you hear
Yeah,
the pain, and like,
yeah,
it's
the
off
realness.
key, but when your heart is broken and
Yeah,
you're singing but crying,
yeah,
you're not going to hit every note. And
exactly.
actually, it feels more real, and it actually sounds better to a human being who knows, man, I know I've been trying to sing, I've been trying to praise God while my heart is broken, and guess what, I don't hit the key perfect, but you like, woo, you can hear
Mhm.
they've been through some things, they've been through the valley. And so it's like, yeah, I don't want perfect art. First of all, it doesn't exist, but
Yeah,
I need some personality. I need to
yeah,
believe you, you know?
yeah, I need to believe you. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's something I've been thinking about too. And also, like, one of the reasons why I was like, I don't know, I'm like, I've been asking like a lot of people, like, what, like, maybe, I don't know if it's getting older or being a mom or I don't know, just being more alive. I don't know what it is, but just kind of seeing like art, this expression of art nowadays. Not only like, the mainstream and all that stuff, but in general, like, do you feel like feel do you feel something from like other artists? Like, or do you feel like something's missing? Do you ever feel like something's missing more often
Well,
or
I think it's what you said earlier of realizing that I view the world through the eyes of a dancer. I tell people all the time, being an artist, being a creative, it's not a vocation, it's not a hobby, it's a worldview. I see the world through the lens of an artist. And it doesn't really matter the expression. I found
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
when
true.
people who are like that, for you it's dance, for me it's music and poetry. But I often have, even if I don't agree on all of the specific issues, I often have a lot more in common
Mhm.
with an artist, even of a significantly different culture or, politics.
Mhm.
If people see the world through the lens of an artist, it's a different thing. Everything has
Yeah.
depth to it.
Depth, profundidade. Is it possible to measure the effects we have on people's lives? In the memories that ground us, feeling the weight of our impact, or the impact others have on us, feeling connected to something deeper. Depth, weighted in this moment, never letting go. Revelations turned into inspirations, inspirations turned into actions, actions turned into dreams come true.
I just want to start with the lyrics. It's in the middle of my verse. I say, a DM from a youngin' say he grew up on my music. That's why I fill these melodies with knowledge, hope, and trueness. For every rapper puppet jiving, shucking like a clown, propping Bournes, spit that gourmet, refusing to dumb it down. This is a true story. Last year, I felt so old, y'all. Last year, I got a message on Instagram from a kid who was in his late teens, like 17, 18 years old. And I actually met this kid about 10 years ago when he was 7 or 8. We were living in the same community at the time. And when I released my very first hip hop EP, um, he listened to it. Him and his family were fans of mine. And he DMs me last year and he said that he grew up on my music. Whew. I was like, I am not that old, but apparently I am. I've been putting out albums for a decade, and I thought, man, this kid went from 8 years old to 18 years old listening to Micah Bournes albums. He really did grow up on my music. It blew my mind because I thought about what I was listening to when I was 8 and how influential it was on my thinking. And I was so amazed and so grateful. It really went into a lot of this album because I was like, man, like, I could really change people's thinking, you know? Like this kid grew up listening to different stuff. It really meant a lot to me to read that and be like, man, there's power in this, you know? And so it was crazy, and I was already kind of working on this, but it really just gave me that extra motivation to be like, man, there's kids growing up on this stuff instead of bitches and hoes, you know. They get to grow up on this. Like, that's so good. So then the other thing, this song has my favorite moment on the whole album, and it's the outro bridge where I say, young me, check me out. Homie, you should be so proud because you grew into a man and you became a rapper now. Young me, check me out. Homie, you should be so proud because you never gave up on the future you was dreaming about. I just had this thought, you know, like, if like 14, 15-year-old Micah somehow got to hear this song, got to hear this album, he would be like, that's me? Really? I make rap music? I get to do that? Like, he would be so hyped. He would be so proud of me, you know? And so I was like, to me, every time I hear that, I'm just like, I'm just happy for that kid, you know? I'm proud of that kid for the way he's grown.